Very good morning to all of you, friends. I hope you guys are doing good, and I hope you guys solved the questions of service costing. So, today it's a very important chapter that I'm taking care of today, that is standard costing. Standard costing or variance analysis. So, herein, see, when talking about service costing, the concept was simple. So in the previous session, I discussed many questions on service costing. But when talking about standard costing, many students find difficulty in memorizing the formulas. Generally, in other chapters, somehow, somewhere it's manageable. But when it comes to standard costing, it's very difficult for the people to memorize formula or to understand the concepts in detail. So in today's session, I'll be discussing and I'll be taking a quick brief about what all concepts are covered. Further, the key is in standard costing is the concepts. If you are thorough with the concepts, you can solve any question. So today I'll be taking care of all the concepts of standard costing. Apart from this, if time permits, we will take few missing figure based questions. So without wasting time, let's start with today's session on standard costing. Initially, we'll discuss all the concepts, that is material, labor, variable overhead, and fixed overhead, using the basic questions. Once the concepts and all gets over, thereafter, if the time permits, we will try to discuss few questions relating to missing figures. So let's start with this chapter, standard costing. We can call this chapter as standard costing or variance analysis. When talking about this chapter, let me give you a brief. See, every company do set up benchmark targets or standards at the beginning of the year. And at the year end, when the actual results are out, they do compare these targets or standards set with the actual results. So there will always be some difference between the target set and the actual results. We call these differences as variances. So the standard costing technique helps us to first of all calculate the variance, and further why this variance, that also it helps us to figure out. When talking about this chapter, it is nothing related to cost calculation. See, it is written standard costing. So it's nothing related to cost calculation. It's simply a part of management accounting, and it assists management in decision making. So we can say it's a management tool for decision making. Now, very important, when talking about from examination point of view, there are few variances that we will be covering. That is all the cost variances. That is material, labor, variable overhead, and fixed overhead. Apart from this, profit variance can be calculated and sales variances can be calculated. However, it is not a part of syllabus. So only the cost variances are covered in our syllabus. So we'll be discussing all the cost variances one by one. So it's a quick summarized session of all the concepts. 1 second, guys. So let's start with material variance. Let me discuss this concept with the help of an example. In the meanwhile, those who are present over Zoom, if you guys have any doubts or queries relating to any question of study material or any past RTPs or MTP based question, you can speak to me. I am here to address all your queries. So let's say the budgeted data is given in the question. wherein let's say we are using two types of raw material, X and Y. Let's say it is 60 and 40. Total inputs are 100. Normal loss is 20%. So we are getting an output of 80 units. So herein this budgeted data is given wherein for every 80 units of a product, for every 80 units of a final product, we'll be using two types of raw material, X and Y, in the ratio of 60:40. Total input will be 100, 20% will be the normal loss, 80 will be the output. Further, when talking about the price, let's say price is given 5 and 4. When talking about the actual data, let's say actual data is given quantity and price, wherein actually we use 700 kgs of X, 300 kgs of Y, total input will be 1000. Let's say there is a normal loss of 300 units and my output is 700. The actual price is also given 4 and 5. So my total cost will be how much? 2800 for X and 1500 for Y. So this will be 4300. So generally the data will be given in this form wherein budget and actual data will be given. Now in material variances, the first thing what we need to check, in material variances, the first thing what we need to check is what that output. To compare these two data, to calculate the variances, we need to check the output. So herein budgeted data is given for 80 units of output. Actual data is given for 700 units of output. So we can't compare these two. Let me take a very simple example wherein 2 meters of fabric is required to manufacture one shirt. Actually, we manufactured 5,000 shirts using 10,000 meters of fabric. So can we say that, okay, budgeted data was like we should use 2 meters, but actually we use 10,000 meters? It means 9,998 units is basically the loss. No, it's not like that. So herein we can say one shirt requires 2 meters. So 5,000 shirts require how many meters? Sorry, budgeted data is given one shirt 2 meter. Actually, we manufactured 5,000 shirts using 11,000 meters. So we can't compare these two figures because the budgeted data is given for one shirt and actual data is given for 5,000 shirts. So to calculate the variance, we can say 5,000 shirts, we consumed 11,000 meters. How much we should have consumed? One shirt, 2 meters. So actually the work should have been done in 10,000 meters. However, we consumed 11,000 meters, 1,000 meters extra we consumed. So we can say this is not a good sign for the company. So herein what we made is, we converted this one shirt 2 meter data into 5,000 shirt 10,000 meters data, and then only we can compare. So very important when coming back to the material variances, the very important point is what? The basis of comparison. The basis of comparison is always how much? Output. So herein budgeted data is given for 80 units of output and actual data is given for 700 units of output. So we have to make it comparable. Just like one shirt, 2 meters, so 5,000 shirt, how much meter? So similarly, 60 kgs for 80 output. So for 700 units of output, how much is required? So what we will do is we will revise this budgeted data into new data, wherein we'll prepare revised standard. We will convert this 80 output data into 700 output data. What we have to do? 1 second, there is a query. Yes, we can use these words interchangeably. That is standard for actual output. So it's both the things are same. So when talking about, we will convert this. So 60 input for 80 output. So for 700 output, how much? 525. Similarly, 40 input for 80 output. So for 700 output, how much? 350. So to manufacture these 700 units of output, we should have consumed 525 of X, 350 of Y, total 875 kgs. 20% will be my normal loss, that is 175 will be my normal loss, and my output will be 700. When talking about the price will be 5 and 4. So this will be 2625, this will be 1400, and this will be 402. So एकदम सिंपल टर्म्स में 700 यूनिट्स बनाने के लिए खर्च कितना होना चाहिए था? दिस मच. बट 700 यूनिट्स बनाने के लिए हमने खर्च कितना किया? दिस मच. So here we have the target data and actual data. Now what we will do is we will start comparing. So first thing is how much additional cost we have incurred. These 700 units should be manufactured with a total cost of 4025. But my actual cost was how much? 4,300. So we can say there is an overall difference in cost. That is, the cost was supposed to be 4,025. However, my actual cost is 4,300. So how much extra cost we incurred? 275 extra we incurred. So we can say it is the overall difference in cost. So we call it as material. Alternatively, we can also write it as, see, how come we got 4025? 525 into 5, 350 into 4. How come we got 4025? 525 into 5, 350 into 4. And how come we got 4300? 700 into 4, 300 into. So this will be 100 adverse. This will be 175 adverse. The total will be 275. So when talking about material variances, the first thing what we will calculate, when talking about material variance, the first thing we will be calculating is the material cost variance. That is the standard cost minus actual cost. Now herein what we can see is that there is a difference in total cost, that is the budgeted data and actual data. But what are the reasons for the differences? See, there are two elements involved that are used in calculation of cost, that is the quantity and price. So these are the two factors that are responsible for this cost variance. First one is that there is a difference in price, 5 and 4, 4 and 5. And second one is what? Difference in usage. That is, instead of 525, we use 700. Instead of 350, we use 300. So these are the two factors that are contributing to the overall material cost variance. So let's consider these two factors separately. That how much is the variance because of price? How much is the variance because of the usage of material? So let's start with price. We call it as material price variance. So for X and Y, the price should be 5. However, the actual price was 4. Similarly, for Y, the price was supposed to be 4. However, we actually paid 5 into the actual quantity. Now, the question is why I am using actual quantity. So let me give you a small brief. See, when talking about the price part, generally this represents the work done by the purchase manager. Purchase manager get material requisition from the stores department. See, I have discussed this part in detail in material costing also, wherein see, when talking about the requirement, generally the stores department issues material requisition, and it is kind of an authority letter to the purchase department that okay, you have to purchase this much of material. Now, the purchase manager job is to purchase it at competitive price. He is not at all concerned that how much he was supposed to use and how much how much the company was supposed to use and how much they are actually using. His job is to purchase the material at a competitive price, and further his job is to purchase how much quantity as per the request received from stores department. So when talking about evaluating his job will be evaluated on the basis of the quantity that is actually purchased rather than the quantity that was supposed to be used. So this was the quantity that was supposed to be used to manufacture 700 units. However, this is much is the quantity that is actually used. तो ये यूज कहां से हुआ होगा? जब परचेज मैनेजर ने परचेज किया होगा तभी यूज हुआ होगा. So very simple. His performance will be evaluated on the quantity that is actually purchased rather than the quantity that was supposed to be used, because it is not the job of purchase manager. Purchase manager has nothing to do with that how much quantity was supposed to be used, how much it is used. His job is to check the price. So that's why his performance will be evaluated on the basis of quantity that is actually purchased. So herein he is making a profit of 700. Here he is making a loss of 300. So still he is figuring out that he is making a profit of 400. So when talking about the price variance, the price we were supposed to pay, the price we actually paid into actual quantity. Similarly, in Y also 4 minus 5 into 300. Anyone with any doubts or queries, you guys can please post your queries. Let's move towards the next part. Material usage variance. Again, the name itself says that how much quantity we were supposed to use and how much quantity we actually used. So how much quantity we were supposed to use of X? 525. How much quantity we actually use? 700 into the price. Now here we will not be taking the actual price. We will be taking the standard price, because अगर हम लोग एक्चुअल प्राइस लेंगे तो इसमें परचेज मैनेजर ने जो काम किया है उसका भी इंपैक्ट आ जाएगा. So herein simply we have to evaluate each and every department separately. So herein we will not be considering actual price because it represents the work done by the purchase manager. So we will be taking standard price only. 300 we actually use into 4. So this will be 200 favorable. I'll be discussing these questions also, don't worry. For sure, I'll cover these questions, don't worry. So this is 875 Edwards. So this will be 675 Edwards. Miss Amrita, I hope you are thorough with the concepts. Or you are just trying to solve the question using formula, Amrita? Yes, Amrita. One second, friends. I'll be discussing these three questions. Very good, Amrita. You are not regular, you are not there present in my regular batch. So anyways, guys, let's move towards, let's proceed further. Now see, herein what we can see is that material price variance is 400 favorable and usage variance is what, 675 adverse. So the total will be 275 adverse. So we can simply say price plus usage will be what? Cost variance. Next is material mix variance. See, when talking about mix, that what should be my mix? So where exactly you are finding it, finding the difficulty, Amrita? Just mention the concept where you are finding difficulty. I'll be covering that concept in detail. So when talking about the mix variance, what should be my mix and what is my actual mix? So see, my actual inputs are 1000. It was supposed to be in the ratio of 60s to 40. However, I changed the mix from 60s to 40 to 70s to 30. So herein, the mix was supposed to be, see, 1000 should be in the mix of 60s to 40, that is 600 is to 400. However, my actual mix was 700 is to 300. So there is a difference. Further, we'll be taking the standard price only because these are the associated department of usage, material usage department. So herein it will be 500 adverse and herein it will be 400 favorable. So net it will be 100 adverse. Last one is material yield variance. When talking about yield, that is getting the output from input. When talking about yield variance, it means what? The getting the output from input. So to manufacture 700 units, how much inputs we were supposed to make? 875 kgs. However, to manufacture these 700 units, how much input we actually consumed? 1000 kgs. So it means there is a loss of 125 kgs. Now this 125 kgs can be of X also, Y also. So which rate will be taking? So the best approach is use weighted average rate. So herein it is 4025 divided by 875. So this is my weighted average rate. So this will be 575 adverse. Herein what we can see is that mix plus yield will be usage. Usage plus price will be cost. Now herein we can simply frame the formulas also, wherein see this was standard cost minus actual cost. Standard cost is how come we derive standard quantity into standard price. Standard quantity into standard price minus actual cost is actual quantity into actual price. So standard quantity into standard price minus actual quantity into actual price. In price variance also what we did, the price we were supposed to pay minus the price we actually paid into actual quantity. So this is the formula, standard price minus actual price into actual quantity. Another thing is usage, that is how much raw material we were supposed to use, how much we actually used into the standard price. So the quantity we were supposed to use minus the actual quantity into standard price. Again, for 1000 kgs, how much should be, what should be the ratio? 60 is to 40. So we can say this much should be the standard mix minus actual quantity into standard price. When talking about yield variances, there are many ways to calculate. There are many ways, 3 to 4 ways to calculate yield variance. So herein I'm just mentioning the formula wherein standard quantity minus standard mix into standard price. There are 2-3 more ways to calculate. I have used the easiest way to calculate yield variance. So this is all what about the concept of material variance. If you guys have any doubts or queries, I request you guys to please post your queries. So let me check this question once. Say, there is one of the student who has raised query in practical question number 13. The question is there in the study material and it is relating to material variance. So I'll be discussing this question now. In the meanwhile, I request you guys, those who want to copy the concepts can copy, or those who want to just write down the concepts, also giving you 2 to 3 minutes time to write down the concepts that what you have understood. I request you guys to open your study material. I'll be discussing practical question number 13 since it is related to material variances. So I'll be covering this first, then we will start with labor and overhead variances, and then we'll discuss two more questions of study material. Yes, just drop me a mail, Astha. I'll revert you on the mail, cma-inter@icai.in. I have not received your mail, Astha. So guys, let's move towards practical question number 13. I'll be discussing practical question number 13. That is JK Limited. The page number is 13.63. So let's start with 13th question, practical question, page number 13.63, wherein JK Limited manufactures NXC. JK Limited manufacture NXC by mixing three raw materials. For every batch of 100 kgs of NXC, 125 kgs of raw material are used. In the month of April, 60 batches were prepared to produce an output of 5,600 kgs of NXC. The standard and actual particulars for the month of April are as follows, wherein the details are given of the raw material, the standard mix is given, standard price is given, actual mix is given, actual price is given. Quantity of material purchased is given. You are required to calculate the material price and usage variance. So first of all, Amrita, what went wrong with this question? Yes, Amrita. Yes, Amrita. Okay, no problem. I'll just check out. What about other students? You guys were able to solve this question? Yes, Mujahid, Pooja, Sid, Astha. You guys were able to solve this question? So let's start with the solution now. Budget. I'll be solving the question with the same format that I always do, and actual. Okay, no worries. What about Astha and Pooja? So see, budgeted data is given, that is for every 125 kgs of raw material used, 100 will be the output. So see, there are three types of raw material: A, B, and C. Input, normal loss, and output. The input should be 125, 25 will be the loss, and 100 will be the output. And 125 will be in the proportion of 125 into 50%, that is 62.5. $37.5. 25. The price is given, that is 20, 10, and 5. So this is the budgeted data given. When talking about the actual data, see, very important, in the month of April, 60 batches were prepared. Total, how many batches were prepared? 60 batches were prepared. So it means how much material is actually used? 125 into 60. 125 is my total. For every batch that we have to make an input of 125 kg. So for 60 batches, how much will be my input? One batch, 125 kgs. So 60 batches. What should be my input? 7,500. Now, in this 7,500 kgs, how much output we were getting? The actual output was only 5,600. It means what? There is a loss of how much of material? 1,900 kgs. Further, the mix is also given. That is 7,500 will be in the mix of 60%. That is 4,500. $7,500 into 20%, that will be 1,500. Next is also 20%, that is 1,500. The actual price is given 21, 8, and 6. Okay, so you are also finding it difficult, Asta. So now, Amrita, since you have checked all my recorded session, and then you are following the concept. So my first question to you, Amrita, and since Astha, you are also facing doubt in this question. So my first question to both of you: are these two figures comparable? Yes or no? Yes, Amrita and Astha. No. What's your opinion, Amrita? Good. So, can we make these two figures comparable? Very simple, yes, by calculating revised standard. So, again, we'll calculate the revised standard quantity. 62.5 input for 100 output. So, for 5,600 output, how much? For B also same way, 37.5 input for 100 output. So for 5,600, how much? Similarly for C also. So this was the quantity we were supposed to use: 3,500, 2,100 and 1,400 at the rate of 20, 10 and 5. So this will be 7,000, 21,000. So this is the master chart. Okay, so Mujahid, how come you got 62.5? Once again, explain, sir. So see, for every 125 input, how much will be my output? 100 output. So for 125 input, how much is my output? 100 output. And this 125 input is in the ratio of what? 50, 30, 20. So 125 into 50%, 125 into 30%, 125 into 20%. Yes, Amrita and Astha, hopefully your query is resolved. Yes, Mujahid. Any doubts? Amrita and Astha, any doubts? It's of no use, Astha. See, this is the best way for the solution, and the solution will match with the study material. This is the best approach. Which answer you are talking about, Amrita? I'm not getting. Let me calculate the variances so you can just check out with the study material. See, material cost variance. Amrita, 1 second. The point is, my question is, I'm not getting. Mujahid, can you please unmute and speak to me? I'm not getting what you're saying. Do you have mic? And Astha, I'm not getting what you want to say. Sorry, not Astha. Amrita, can you please unmute? First, Mujahid, you unmute and speak to me. Admin sir, admin sir, students unmute कर सकते हैं ना?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
हाँ सर, गुड मॉर्निंग
Can you be please
सर.
bit more loud?
यस सर. सर ये क्वांटिटी का जो ये क्वांटिटी में
Hello?
वो एबीसी अपन फाइंड आउट किए है ना, वो कंफ्यूज हो रहा है सर. एक बार
क्या कह
एक्सप्लेनेशन
रहे हैं?
बजट का वो एबीसी 62.37.25 है ना, वो कंफ्यूज हो रहा है.
देखिए ये 125 kgs इनपुट था, राइट?
यस.
ये क्या रेशियो में था?
50-30-20 मिक्स का है स्टैंडर्ड
तो
का.
50%, 30%, 20%, राइट?
यस.
125 का 50% कितना होता है? 62.5. 125 का 30% कितना होता है? 37.5. एंड 125 का 20% कितना होता है? 25. आई होप इट इज क्लियर मुजाहिर.
यस सर.
क्लियर?
ओके सर, थैंक
Yes, Amrita, which quantity you are talking about? 3750. Do you have mic, Amrita? Yes, Amrita, tell me. You are not audible.
सर.
Okay, so let me complete the solution first, then we will talk. Okay, yes, Mujahid, tell me.
ये एक्चुअल का क्वांटिटी डाउन साइड से क्रिएट करें ना, 1500 1545. वो वो एक बार बोल सकते हैं एक्चुअल.
Let me complete the solution. What will be material cost variance? 98,000 minus 1,15,500. This is 17,500. Next is material. So anyone with any doubts or queries in this part? Next is material usage variance. How much quantity we were supposed to use? 3,500. How much we actually used? 4,500 into 20. 2,100. So this is the way the question will be solved. So now tell me, Amrita, what went wrong with this question? Yes, Amrita, tell me. See, the problem with many students is that they see the solution. Again, I say, see, the pattern of solution may vary from, from person to person. But yes, the final answer should be the same. And this is the answer what we are getting. Yes, Amrita. Astha, hopefully your query is resolved. Yes, Astha. Material price variance can alternatively be calculated. Again, Amrita, since if you have checked all my session, this is the way I have solved. See, 98,000 minus 1,15,500 will be my cost variance. This is not the price variance. This will be my cost variance. Again, just don't go with the solution that is given in study material. The pattern of the solution may vary. So the point is, see, if you have checked all my recorded session, this is the standard format I have used for all the material variances. Any doubts in this solution? See, Amrita, the point is very simple. Forget what is given in study material. Forget the solution of study material. Are you thorough with this part that this is the budgeted data, this is the actual data? Since these two figures are not comparable, so we converted that data into revised standard data. Are you thorough with this part? So the point is stick to the basics. See, for every question, there is a separate pattern of solution in study material. So instead of going with that pattern, just try to memorize the standard format. Write down the budgeted data, write down the actual data. Check the output. If output is same, start calculating the variances. If output is not same, prepare revised standard and then solve the question. Okay, so now what I want from you is for the students who are present in class, I want you guys to calculate mixed variance and post the total. Giving you 2 minutes time, how much you are thorough with the concept. Calculate mixed variance and post the answer. Waiting for your answer. Giving you 2 minutes time to calculate mixed variance. What will be the mix variance? Yes, quick. Very good, Amrita, and very good, Astha. Your answers are correct, I think. So, see, 7,500 should be in the ratio of this. So, this 3750, what you are talking is basically the standard mix. That's why I told you guys to calculate this. So, see, this is 3750. This is 2250. This is 1500. This should be my mix. That is 7,500 in this ratio. My actual ratio is 4,500, 1,500, and 1,500 into my standard price, that is 20, 10, and 5. So this will be 0. This will be 15,000 adverse. And very good, the answers are correct. So that's what I'm saying. Instead of just reading the question and watching the solution, no, it doesn't, it will not help you out. This 3750, the moment you told me that you are talking about this standard mix figure. But the point is, the purpose of making you guys calculate that you should understand the difference between the standard mix and standard quantity. So that is the key in material variances. Anyways, those who want to copy this master chart can copy. Rest so you can solve it on your own. Just try to copy this master chart, please. So the point is very clear. After reading the question, start writing your own solution and then check the final answer. See, the point is many students, what they read the question, then they check the solution and then they start writing the answer. It will not help you out, guys. Exam में solution नहीं मिलेगा. You will not get a solution in exam to check that whether it is correct or incorrect. Start writing your own solution. Let me complete labor and fixed overhead and variable overhead variances. Thereafter, I'll be discussing 14th and 15th practical problem also. So let's start with labor variances. Let's take a quick brush up. So the point is, again, as I mentioned, standard costing is all what about concepts. And still what I can figure out that many students are still not that well versed with the concept. So the point is very simple. Stick to the concept, stick to the basic. Trust me, no one can stop you from scoring good marks in costing. Anyway, so let's start with labor variances now. The concept of labor variance is just like material variance. So let me take a question. I'm sharing the screen for your reference. This question I have discussed it in my regular class also. So I'll be discussing straight away this question and I'll be explaining you guys the concept and then we will start with another problems. So this is example number 2. I have discussed many times in my previous lectures. So budgeted hours are given 2, 3, 5. Actual hours are given 9,000, 17,000 and 30,000. Actual rate is given, that is 7, 2.75 and 1.5. Further, idle hours are also given in the question. That is 500, 400 and 100. So we will get actual hours worked. See, this is the data that is given in the question. I have just arranged the data wherein the budgeted data is given, budgeted rate is given, actual hours are given, actual rate is given, the total is given. Further, idle hours are also given, that is 500, 400 and 100. So we have calculated actual hours worked. Actual hours worked. These are actual hours paid. However, there is an idle hour, so we have got actual hours worked. Now, this budgeted data is given for every unit and actual data is given for 5,000 units. So I repeat again, the budgeted data is given for every unit 10 hours are required. This is the rate for 5,000 units. we have paid for this much hours. This much is my idle hours, and this is my actual hours work. So my first question, see, just like material in labor also, the basis of comparison is output. Just like in material, in labor also, the basis of comparison is output. The budgeted data is given for 1 unit, actual data is given for 5,000 units. So we have to make them comparable. We have to convert this 1 unit data into 5,000 units of data. So this will be 10,000, this will be 15,000, and this will be 25,000 into 5, 3, and 2. So this will be 50,000. This will be. So now my master chart is ready. Everything is ready. Now no need to check the question. Just start writing this. Just list. Using this data, we will calculate all the variances. So first one is labor cost variance. So in the similar way, the way we calculated material cost variance, that is standard cost minus actual cost. We can alternatively present it in this way. That is 10,000 into 5. See, how come we got 145? 10,000 into 5, 15,000 into 3, 25,000 into 2, minus 9,000 into 7, 17,000 into 2.75, 30,000 into 1.5. So both the approaches are correct. So this is my standard cost. This is my next is labor. See, it is material price variance. So it is labor rate variance. Just like material price variance, we'll calculate the labor rate. So the rate we were supposed to pay is 5. The rate we actually paid 7 into the hours we actually paid for, not the hours we worked for. Be it anything, you have to solve this way only. Generally, the idle hours are abnormal only. So into the hours for which we actually paid. So it is 18,000 adverse. Now, after calculating the rate variance, we will calculate idle time variance also. Since idle hours are always a loss to the company, so this variance will always be adverse. We'll be applying the standard rate, that is 5, 3, and 2. Because the difference in the rate is already considered in rate variance. So 2,500 adverse, 1,200 adverse. Now see, the impact of price is considered in rate. The impact of idle hours is considered in idle time variance. Now the difference of the time worked. So labor see, we have calculated the overall loss to the company because of labor department, that is 9750 of this, due to rate, that is the person who arranged the the person who is basically the labor contractor who arranges the labor, he made a profit to us that is of 1250. However, there was a loss in the company of idle hours, so we have got this variance as adverse. So now, very important guys, from time variance, or we can say since we have removed the effect of idle hours here only, so time variance will not be calculated using hours paid, it will be calculated using hours worked. So herein, that is 10,000 minus 8,500. So this is how the time variance will be calculated. Now moving towards the next part, that is labor. We can call it as yield also, efficiency also, sub-efficiency also. Now see, we have already given the effect of idle hours here and we have calculated the time variance using actual hours worked. So mix will be calculated using actual hours worked only. That is 2:3:5. It should be in the ratio of 55,000. 2:3:5 should be in the ratio of 55,000. So 55,000 into 2:3:5 will distribute it as 11,000, 16,500 and 27,500. Minus the actual was 8,500, 16,600, 29,900. Now, when talking about efficiency, the work was supposed to be completed in 50,000 hours. The same approach what I've used in material, but we actually consume 55,000 hours. So 5,000 hours is my inefficiency into the weighted average rate, that is 1,45,000 divided by 50,000. So this will be 14,500 adverse. Again, 14,500 adverse plus 7,400 favorable, we will get this 7,100. So the concept is very simple. Once we have given the effect of idle hours here only at the second level, we'll be using actual hours worked for time, mix, and yield. However, alternate solution is possible. Instead of placing idle time here, we can place idle time here also. Both the approaches are correct. Labor yield, see, if it is time variance, we can call it as efficiency. See, let's say we have used the name here as time variance. Then herein it will be efficiency variance or sub-efficiency variance. If we are using the word efficiency, it will be sub-efficiency or yield. So these are the alternative names what the question can use. One more point, see, the time variance may change if we are placing idle time instead of here, here. So if here, then labor time variance will be calculated using hours paid, and idle time will be here, mix and yield, there will be no change. So there is an alternate solution that is possible. Those who want to copy, or you can, those who want to write down the format can please write down. So labor mix plus yield will be time, idle time, and rate will be the total will be cost. Yes, Asta, that's correct. See, instead of idle time, if we place idle time here, there will be no change in mix and efficiency. However, the time, if we place idle time here, the time variance will be calculated using these two data. If we are placing idle time here, then we'll be using the hours worked. If we are placing idle time here, it will be we'll be using hours paid. Once you are thorough with the concept, you can prepare the formulas on your own. So let's start with the next part. It's 8:20 now. So let's discuss variable overhead variances. Thereafter, we'll take a break and then we'll discuss a question on fixed overhead variance. And then we will discuss practical problem number 14th and 15th. So let's discuss variable overhead variances first. So whenever you find a question on variable overhead variance, just try to convert data in this format, that is budget and actual, wherein the data that is relevant is hours, units, and variable overhead. If any data is given regarding the number of days, you have to ignore. Let's say the hours are given 30,000, 33,000. Units are given 32,500. And variable overheads are given 60,000 and 70,000. This is the data given in the question. So herein first we'll be calculating variable overhead cost variance. It talks about under or over absorption of overhead, that is 6,000 overheads for 30,000 units. So my absorption rate will be rupees 2 per unit into the number of unit is 32,500. So what is my absorbed overhead? 65,000 are my absorbed overhead. And my actual overheads are 70,000. So we can say it is an under absorption of overhead by 5,000. So it is adverse. I repeat again, 60,000 overheads for 30,000 units. So for 32,500, how much should be my overheads? 65,000. We call it as, we will compare this with actual overheads. We will get 5,000 adverse as under or over absorption of overhead. Next is variable overhead. Variable overhead expenditure variance. So since variable overhead keeps on changing as per hours, so 60,000 overheads for 30,000 hours. So for 33,000 hours, how much should be my overhead? 66,000. My actual overheads are 70,000. So therein we can say it is 4,000 adverse. I repeat again, variable overhead depends upon hours worked. So 60,000 overheads for 30,000 hours. So for 33,000 hours, how much should be my overhead? 66,000. Actual overheads are 70,000. So 4,000 extra overheads. So we can say this is adverse for the company. Next is variable overhead efficiency variance. The name itself says that whether we completed the work in given frame of time or not. So see, as per the target set, 30,000 units should be manufactured in 30,000 hours. So 1 unit should be manufactured in 1 hour. So 32,500 units should be completed in 32,500 hours. But we actually consumed 33,000 hours. So we can say 500 hours is my inefficiency. I repeat again, 30,000 units should be completed in 30,000 hours. So 1 unit should be completed in 1 hour. So 32,500 units should be completed in 32,500 hours. However, we completed the job in 33,000 hours. That is 500 hours is my inefficiency. We'll apply the budgeted rate per hour, that is 60,000 divided by 30,000, that is 2 rupees per hour. So it will be 1,000 Edwards. So here, very simple variable overhead variance. We have to calculate only three variants, that is cost, expenditure, and efficiency. Cost variance 60,000 units, sorry, 60,000 overheads for 30,000 hours. So for 32,500, how much should be my overhead? 65,000. Actual overheads are how much? 70,000. So how much extra? 5,000. Expenditure variance 60,000 overheads for 30,000 hours. So for 33,000 hours, how much should be my overhead? 66,000. Actual overheads are 70,000. So this will be 4,000 Edwards. And efficiency I have discussed. Further, very important, expenditure plus efficiency will be my cost variance. So 4,000 Edwards plus 1,000 Edwards will be 5,000 Edwards. So when talking about the formulas, you can frame formula standard variable overhead minus actual variable overheads. Expenditure variance, variable overhead at actual hours minus actual variable overhead. Variable overheads at actual hours minus actual when talking about efficiency, standard hours for actual production see 30 to 500 hours is what? Standard hours, that is the budgeted hours for actual production minus actual hours worked. So this is how we will get 500 hours in efficiency into the standard rate per hour. So there are no formulas. Simply you can frame your own formulas. It's up to you how to frame formulas. Those who want to copy can please copy. I'm going bit quick because I have to complete the job within 2.5 hours. So that's why I'm going bit quick. Still, if you have any doubts or queries, you guys can please post your queries. Anyone with any doubts or queries? Pooja, Mujahid, Siddh, Amrita, Astha. Yes, Astha, any doubts? So fine, guys, let's take a break of 15 minutes. After the break, we will discuss question number 14th and 15th. And if the time permits, then we will discuss fixed overhead variances also. So admin sir, are you there? Thank you. So now we are done with variable overheads. We have discussed a question on material and labor variances also. Now let's move toward practical problem number 14. I request you guys to open your study material. I'm discussing practical question number 14 because many students find difficulty in practical question number 14. So let's start with this question, practical question number 14. So herein the budgeted data is given. Total inputs are 1400 and out loss is 10%. So output is 1260 of the budgeted data. Budgeted price of material A is not given. Okay, so actual output is given and the quantity of the actual output is 1480. So very important in this question, the budgeted output is 1260 and actual output is 1480. So herein, since the outputs are not matching, so we have to prepare revised standard wherein the data is missing related to actual price of A and material quantity of B. So this data is missing. Other information is given wherein material cost variance is given, material price variance is given. You are required to calculate standard price of A, actual price, actual quantity of B, actual price of A, revised standard quantity of A and B, and material mix variance. So let's start with this question. See again, try to arrange the question in the same format what I have discussed. This is the budgeted data. Actual data. And since revised standard we have to prepare, so we'll write down revised standard also. Quantity, price, and amount. Quantity, price. There are two types of material, material A and B. Talking about the quantity, it is 800 and 600. Total input is 1400. Normal loss is 10%, that is 140. So output will be 1260. Actual output is given in the question. That is 1480. Actual quantity is also given. That is 900. And missing figure. Here in material A, missing figure, the actual price is missing. 32.5. The total actual cost is also given 59,825. So all these data are given in the question. I think anything else is given? No. Further, material cost and price variance are given. That is, material cost variance is 3625 favorable. And 175 favorable is the material price. So this is the data that is given in the question. And we are required to calculate the missing figures. Okay, so this price is also given. So these are the things what we need to calculate, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So let's start with first calculation of standard quantity. Since the output is not same, and here in the budgeted output we have, actual output we have, and the budgeted quantity we have. So we can easily calculate the standard quantity, that is of A and B. The same way, 800 input for 1260 output. So for 1480 output, how much? 800 input. Similarly, 600 input for 1260 output. So for 1480 output, how much? So this is 940 and this is 705. This will be 21,150. So whatever the data we are getting, we will just fill up. Now see, material cost variance is given. Standard cost minus actual cost, that should be equal to 3625. Since it is favorable, so it will be plus only. So standard cost we don't have. However, we have the actual cost, that is 59,825. That is equals to 3625. So what will be my standard cost? $63,450. So we have got the standard cost, that is 63,450. Now 21,150 we already have. So how much it will be? 42,300. That is 63,450 minus 21,150. We have 42,300. Since we have got this figure 42,300, if we divide it by 940, we will get the standard price also. So we have got 45. So this part is done. I think we can't do anything more than anything from this material cost variance. Now see, price variance is given. For price variance, we need standard price minus actual price into actual quantity. So this one is fine. But standard price minus actual price into actual quantity. So two figures are missing. Now the point is how to start with the solution. So herein, see, we can solve it in that way also, wherein material cost variance is equals to material price variance plus material usage variance. So material cost variance is 3625 is equals to 175 plus material usage variance. So my material usage variance will be how much? 3450 favorable. We have got material usage variance. Now material usage variance is equals to standard quantity minus actual quantity into standard price. See, we have the standard price, so only this figure is missing. That's why we can easily calculate it using usage variance. So 940 minus 900 multiplied by 45 plus 705 minus actual quantity of what? B into standard price is 30. It should be equal to 3450. So 705 minus actual quantity of B multiplied by 30 should be equal to 1650. Or we can say actual quantity of B will be how much? Once this amount is calculated, we can calculate this figure 21125. See, once this figure is calculated, we can easily calculate this value. So 21125 minus 59. This will be 38,700 divided by 900. We'll get the actual price 43. So anyone with any doubts or queries, you guys can please post your queries. I'm done with this question. Yes, Astha, any doubts? Pooja, Mujahid, any doubts? Amrita, any doubts? Sid, any doubts? Yes, Amrita, I hope your query is resolved. Astha, you were able to solve this question on your own before? Yes? Very good. Very good. Those who want to copy the explanation can copy, please. So I hope now it is clear what is the difference between revised standard quantity and standard mix. Very good. The thing is, stick to the basic. Write down the budgeted data, write down the actual data. Check the output is same. If not, calculate revised standard quantity. And then start calculating the variance. Yes, Amrita, you can tell me.
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yes, loud and clear. Very good morning, dear. Tell me.
Good morning, sir. Sir, in the last question, I got confused in the standard quantity mix and revised standard quantity mix, sir. When we use, you will tell that standard mix quantity, no, sir. But in book, it is that revised standard quantity.
See, my point is very simple, Amrita. You read the question, right? This question
Yes, sir.
only you are talking about, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here in this budgeted data was given, actual data was given,
Yes, sir.
right? So first you need to check is the output. If the output is same or not,
Not same, sir.
then we have to prepare.
Revised standard.
Now, the problem you are facing is with the solutions that are given in the study material. Am I right or wrong?
No, sir, that is not my problem. The problem is that in question, we have to find out revised standard quantity of material A and B. I got that, and I thought that this revised standard 940 and 705 is the answer. But the revised mix we have calculated, that is the answer for this question, sir.
No, 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 no. This is the way you have to calculate. And then you have to mention that this is my standard mix, this is my actual mix, and accordingly you have to calculate material mix variance.
Um,
This is revised standard quantity.
yes, sir. But in question, we have to calculate revised mix also, sir. Revised mix variance.
So very no problem. So 9 plus 6, how much it is? 1550.
Oof.
Yes. Right?
Now,
The
when we
actual
calculate the mix variance, the quantity will be 630 and 420. No, sorry,
1550
886
should
and
be in the
664, sir.
50 should be in the ratio of 8 is to 6, right?
Yes, sir. The quantity will be 886 and for B it is 664.
No, 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 no. 1550, sorry, 1550 into. So it is 886. For A, it will be 886, right?
Yes, sir. And for B 664.
But then what's the problem?
This is the mix variance quantity, no, sir.
Yes, this is standard mix.
Oh, I got confused between the revised standard and the standard mix, sir.
Mix, this should 11550 should be in the ratio of 8 is to 6. Mix is calculated using input, and standard quantity for the purpose of calculating cost, usage variance, we use as output.
I got all the answers, sir, but after checking the answer, I got confused, sir. Here, for revised mix quantity, they are using standard mix, sir. That is
Okay,
mix.
let me check. Okay. I think there is some problem with the solution. I need to check it out, but this is the way you have to present. Okay?
And for the before question 13th, also I got confused about revised standard quantity only, sir. So that when I asked you that
No,
3
no, no, no.
750 and
Got it. I think there is some language problem that is there, right?
yes, sir.
Okay, I'll just check it out. Don't worry. But overall, as far as the concepts are concerned, it's clear, no?
Yes, sir. All are clear, sir. I got the
Okay.
answer before I revised the answer backside, sir.
Okay. What about the doubt in the 15th illustration? Any doubts in illustration number 15th?
So the variable overhead, what we calculate by your concept, it's different in book, sir.
No, it's altogether the same only.
The
So what,
direct
where
labor
exactly you
has
are finding it difficult? Tell me.
direct
So
labor
guys,
has
those who want to copy or take the screenshot, please take the screenshot. I'll be starting with question number 15 now. 1 second, you just keep it on hold.
yes, sir.
Do take the screenshot. That is more than sufficient. Okay, so now tell me what's the problem with this question?
Sir, the question asks to find direct labor hours and hours per rate per hour, sir.
Okay.
Here, when we use variable overhead incurred, it is given that 1 hour per 1 hour for 10 rate per hour.
See, listen to me. Very simple. Here in the hours we have to calculate. That is the mistake. What you are finding, that is the point where you are finding it difficult, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Question number 15th of study material. Wait, guys. Let me read the question. Wherein Paras Synthetics uses standard costing system in manufacturing of its product Star N95 masks. The details are as follows, wherein direct material is given 0.50 meters at the rate 60 per meter. Labor hour is given 1 hour at the rate 20 per hour. Variable overheads is given, that is 1 hour at the rate rupees 10 per hour. So the total budgeted cost is given, that is 60 rupees. During the month of August, 10,000 units of Star 95 marks were manufactured, wherein material consumed is given, labor hours are not given, labor rate is not given. However, the total labor cost is given. Variable overheads incurred are given. Variable overhead efficiency variance is 2000 adverse. Variable overheads are based on direct labor hour. You are required to calculate the missing data and all the relevant variances. So herein you are finding it difficult to calculate actual hours, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let's start with variable overhead efficiency variance, right? What is efficiency variance? That how many hours we were supposed to consume, how many hours we actually consumed into the rate per hour, right?
Yes,
Right?
sir.
So actually we are manufacturing 10,000 units, right? So it is given in the question that 1 unit should take 1 hour, right? See, 1 unit, it is given 1 hour. So 10,000 units should be manufactured in how many hours? 10,000 hours, right? We don't know the actual hours. So the work was supposed to be completed in 10,000 hours, but we don't know the actual hours. We get the efficiency. If we subtract standard hours minus actual hours, we get either efficiency or inefficiency. If it is efficiency, the variance will be favorable. If it is inefficiency, the variance will be adverse. Now we will get the difference of the hours. We have to apply the standard rate per hour, and the standard rate per hour is rupees 10. And the variance that is given is how much? 2000 adverse. It means it is inefficiency. So 10,000 hours minus actual hours. This will go down, so it will be 200 adverse. So it will be minus 200. So actual hours will be how much? 10,200. Any doubts? Yes, madam. Any doubts? Amrita, any doubts?
No, sir.
So we have got the actual hours. So that was the key. So where you are finding difficulty? Yes, Amrita. No worries, Mujahid. Yes, Amrita, where exactly you are finding it difficult?
Sir, now I understood how we got actual hours, sir. When I
Huh?
referred to the answer key, I got confused, sir.
What?
When I referred to the answer key, I got confused by that
That's what
language,
I'm
sir. Now
saying.
I
No
understood,
need
sir.
to refer the answer. Be it right, be it wrong, prepare your own solution first. When you are 100% satisfied that my solution is correct, then see the answer key. That is the key.
Okay, sir.
See, the concepts what I have discussed in all the classes are same. Be it any question, you can apply the concepts. The point is, make it a habit to write your own solution rather than just directly checking the solution. Any other doubts or any other queries?
No,
Astha,
sir.
you have any doubts or queries in any of the past RTPs or MTPs, Astha? Sid, Mujahid, Pooja, anyone with any doubts or queries? Generally, the questions are very good in study material. So I think everything is covered in the study material. And RTP, MTP questions are straightforward, what I have checked. So nothing new, no rocket science as such. If you are able to solve the questions of study material, you can solve any questions. If you want to copy, you can copy, Amrita. I'll be discussing one question on fixed overheads also. So now let's start with a question on fixed overhead, the last part of the chapter. Generally, when you will find a question on fixed overhead, the data will be given as follows, wherein budget and actual, days will be given, hours will be given, units will be given, and fixed overhead will be given. Let's add one more point. Idle hours, sometimes they do give. Let's add one more point wherein sometimes the question might give data related to idle hours. So now let's say the days are 25 and 26. Hours are 30,000 and 33,000. Units are 30,000 and 32,500. 45,000 and 50,000. And 200 idle hours. So let's say this question is given. So we will start with fixed overhead cost variance. It talks about under or over absorption of overheads. So 45,000 overheads for 30,000 units. So for 32,500 units, how much should be my overhead? 48,750. Whereas my actual overheads are 50,000. So there is an under absorption of 1,250. So that's why this variance will be adverse. Next is fixed. That is 45,000 minus 50,000 straight away. Since fixed overhead remain constant at all the level of production, so straight away we will not revise just like variable what we did in variable overhead, because variable overheads keeps on changing, so we revise the overheads. But fixed overhead remain fixed irrespective of production, so we will not revise it. Next is fixed overhead volume variance. When talking about volume, the name itself says units. The variance due to change in units. So we were supposed to manufacture 30,000 units. We actually manufactured 32,500 units. 2,500 units extra we manufactured. So since we manufactured extra 2,500 units, so it's a good sign for the company. So that's why this variance will be favorable. and we'll be applying the rate per unit. So 45,000 overheads for 30,000 units. So per unit rail will be how much? 1.5. So this will be 3750 favorable. Next is fixed overhead calendar variance. It talks about the days, how many days we were supposed to work and how many days we actually work. So here in 25 days we were supposed to work and we work for 26 days. 1 day extra we work. So it's a very good sign for the company. Forget that we worked efficiently, inefficiently. That will be taking separately. So 1 day extra we work, will apply the rate per day. So 45,000 divided by 25 days. So it is 1800 per day. So this will be 1800 favorable. Next is fixed overhead. So calendar talks about the number of days. Next is fixed overhead capacity variance. Capacity talks about hours. That is how many hours we were supposed to work and the hours we actually work. So see, 30,000 hours and 33,000 hours. 3,000 hours are the difference. However, the number of days are also increased. So we have to give the impact of the number of days also. So our capacity was how much? In 26 days, our capacity was for 31,200 hours. That is 30,000 hours in 25 days. So in 26 days, my capacity was 31,200 hours. However, I worked for 33,000 hours. That is 1,800 hours. I worked above my capacity. Again, forget about efficiency or inefficiency. I worked 1,800 hours above my capacity into the rate per hour, that is 45,000 divided by 30,000, that is 1.5 per hour. So this will be 2,700 favorable. So herein, forget about efficiency, inefficiency. Since we worked above our capacity, that's why this variance will be favorable. Now next is idle time variance. It is 200 hours. We have to apply the rate per hour, that is 45,000 divided by 30,000. So it is, so this variance will always be adverse because idle hours are always a loss to the company. Next is fixed overhead. Efficiency variance. That is whether we see, we worked 1 day extra, we worked above our capacity, that is also a good sign. But now lastly, we need to check that whether we worked efficiently or inefficiently. So herein, 30,000 units, 30,000 hours. It means 1 unit should be completed in 1 hour. So 32,500 units we manufactured. It should be completed in 32,500 hours. But we actually consume 33,000 hours. So 500 hours is my inefficiency into, we apply the rate per hour. So this will be 750 adverse. This 500 hours is what? My inefficiency. So anyone with any doubts or queries, you guys can please post your queries. Further, calendar, capacity, idle time and efficiency will be volume. Volume plus expect. Sorry. See guys, very important. 32,500 units should be completed in 32,500 hours. But we actually consume 33,000 hours. So 500 hours was my inefficiency. Sorry, 500 hours we consumed extra. Of this 500 hours, 200 hours is what? My idle hours. So my inefficiency is of 300 hours only into the rate per hour 1.5. So this will be 450 adverse. So I repeat again, when talking about efficiency variance, it's very simple. That is whether we completed the work in given frame of time or not. So 30 to 500 hours was we were supposed to complete the work. Of this, we completed the task in 33,000 hours. So 500 hours extra. Of these 500 hours, 200 hours are my idle time. So my inefficiency is of 300 hours only. So that's why 300 hours into 1.5, that will be 450 adverse. So 450 adverse plus 300, 750 adverse minus these two, 3750 we will be getting as the volume. So calendar, capacity, idle time and efficiency, the total will be volume. Volume plus expenditure will be cost. Those who want to take the snapshot can please take the snapshot. I'm done with this explanation. I'm done with my explanation for today's session. So if you guys have any doubts or queries, you guys can post your queries. I have covered all the concepts of standard costing. Anyone with any doubts or queries? So this is all what about standard costing. The key is the concepts. When talking about material and labor, arrange the table in the format wherein budget, actual. If budget and actual are comparable, go ahead with the calculation of variances. If they are not comparable, prepare revised standard. Once the revised standard is ready, we can calculate all the variances. So first point, check the output. If output is same, start with the solution. If output is not same, prepare revised standard and then start the solution. When talking about fixed and variable overhead, it's very simple. The point is stick to the concepts. Again, you won't be able to apply the formulas in fixed and variable overheads also that, okay, if it is minus, it will be adverse. If it is plus, it will be favorable. It doesn't work like that. The point is, I need to check Asta. Just write a mail cma-inter@icai.in. I'll check the solution. But there must be some point that is given in the question. That's why rest you try the way I have taught you. Trust me, you will get the answer. See, even in the previous illustration, what we discussed, the solution is a bit different from the study material, but at the end of the day, we are getting the same answer. So there are 2 to 3 ways to solve each and every question, specifically in standard and marginal costing. So the point is, if you are thorough with the concept, then you can solve the question easily by the easiest way. See, so yes, the opinion may differ. So there can be a difference of opinion, but this is the best way and best approach to solve all the questions of standard costing. Yes, Astha. This is the best way to solve all the questions of standard costing. Any doubts in this part, Astha? So there are many ways you will find, even in marginal costing, I'll be discussing few tricky questions. Again, these questions, you can solve it in 2 to 3 ways. So I'll be teaching you the easiest possible way, less time consuming way to solve and present it in exams. Thank you so much, Amrita. I'm happy that at least you are prepared for the session. So I appreciate your efforts. Same goes with Astha also. Very good, guys. You are prepared for the session. So the point is focus on the concept. Try to solve as many as possible questions in writing. write your own solution. The solution that are given in the study material are correct. So no need to do ticking or checking. They are correct. But yes, your presentation may be different from the presentation that is given in the study material. But yes, you should present it nicely and you should check the final answer that is given in the study material. If you are thorough with the concept, your answer will match for sure. So enough of discussion for today. Thank you so much for your time and patience and for active participation in the session. I request you guys to come prepared in the coming session of marginal costing, wherein I'll be covering many points in detail, few tricky questions also. So that's it for the day. Thank you so much, guys. Take care of yourself. God bless you. Thank you. Admin, sir? Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.